Tasmania's northwest coast is the perfect environment for regional rail. Numerous towns are set along a stretch of coast with a regional population of around 100,000, linking the 7 major towns, plus several other smaller towns and suburbs, and almost entirely on existing right-of-way. This is Tasmania's best chance for regional rail. I will discuss this video in 3 stages. Firstly, I will look at our core corridor between Wynyard and Latrobe. Secondly, I will look at potential rail expansion outside that corridor. Finally, I will look at other transport upgrades that could be done in the northwest coast in tandem with this project. Firstly, here is the main rail plan. I propose a heavy rail line using existing alignments between Wynyard and Latrobe, stopping in 3 cities, 6 towns and 6 suburbs. Please note, all maps and graphics I use here are not to scale and often are rough estimates. We will begin at our western terminus, Wynyard. This will sit at the end of Station Street and will be on the site of the original pre-1978 station. A stabling yard and light maintenance centre will be located to the south of the station. This will be the main depot for this line. A pedestrian bridge will link the 2 platforms located on a loop siding. Another pedestrian bridge will take passengers over the yard to Burnie Wynyard Airport. This serves flights to the mainland as well as to King Island and Hobart. Stressing this connection will be vital to success on this line, so perhaps renaming Wynyard Station Wynyard BWT, Wynyard Airport, or BWT Airport could be useful. Burnie Wynyard Airport is one of the 2 commercial airports on the northwest coast, and this link will be very important. Returning to the station, a large pedestrian plaza will be built in the currently empty area nearby. Secure bike parking and a bus interchange will be built. Pedestrian links to Goldie Street, Church Street, Austin Street and Lewis Street will be upgraded or added. Now we leave Wynyard. We will cross over Airport Street on a level crossing, enter a long straight running up to 80 km an hour. After passing through the East Wynyard residential area, which will be served by bus services from Wynyard, we cross Mount Hicks Road and the Old Bass Highway before passing through Seabrook and leaving the Greater Wynyard area. We pass through the small hamlet of Doctors Rocks and run right up against the coast for several kilometres. We then enter Somerset, running beside the Bass Highway, crossing Somerset Esplanade and reaching Somerset Station. This will be located on a passing loop with an island platform. A waiting shelter will be provided. Pedestrian links to Bell's Parade and the Bass Highway will be provided, as well as a footbridge over the highway connecting with Elizabeth Street. Interchange with bus stops on Falmouth Street will be provided. Leaving Somerset, we cross Falmouth Street and will run along a shared path built on the rail alignment. We cross the Cam River and pass through the small suburbs of Camdale and Ocean Vista, running along the foreshore and arriving at Cooey Station. This will serve the suburb, providing an important link for local residents and commuters to the nearby industrial estate. Due to space constraints in this area, there will only be a single platform with no loop. Pedestrian access to Turing Street and Cooey Point Road will be maintained. Immediately after the station, we cross Cooey Point Road and recommence foreshore running. We cross an access road to the West Park Performance Centre and run along the edge of West Park Oval. Our station will be on a straight on the north side of West Park. This is located adjacent to the aforementioned Oval, the West Park Performance Centre, Burnie Skate Park and the University of Tasmania's West Park campus. The station can be named UTAS West Park, simply West Park, or Parklands after the nearby suburb. To build this station, we will need to remove part of or all the car park adjacent to the line. The station will have an island platform and a side platform. The side platform will be used for terminating express trains during peak hours. I'll cover service patterns later. The station will have footbridges connecting the platforms with each other and the UTAS campus, West Park and various footpaths. I will propose full pedestrianisation of the West Park precinct as part of this project, increasing safety at the uni campus and nearby areas. Leaving the station, we enter the Burnie CBD, running through the foreshore recreational areas before swinging south to enter Burnie Junction Yard. This is the current terminus of freight rail service in the northwest, and from here on we will run on the corridor shared with freight trains until Tarleton. This will likely require a major reconfiguration of the yard to accommodate through traffic. However, I'm not going to figure that out now just show the passenger rail plan. We want to minimise space taken up here, so I will make an island platform on a passing loop, with a footbridge connecting the station to Marine Terrace and Catley Street. We will use up part of a car park beside the railway for this construction, and we will relocate the heritage Burnie station building from the car park onto the platform. A ticket office and other amenities such as a waiting room will be provided. We have now rebuilt the entirety of the closed line between Wynyard and Burnie, but now it is time to go further. We will now run along an existing freight right-of-way between Burnie and Devonport. This section will be predominantly double track, unlike the previous sections, but will have sections of single track in geographically constraining areas. Leaving Burnie, we will run on double track south, passing under the Bass Highway, entering South Burnie. No station will be provided for the industrial area, which is close to the Burnie city with bus links. We cross Wellington Street, Hopkinson Street and Reeves Street through here. Hopkinson Street could be considered for cut-off due to low demand and close proximity to other crossings. We pass under Massey Green Drive before crossing the Emu River on a large bridge. This bridge will remain single track, unlike the line around it. We now enter Wynyard, crossing River Road and heading under Pearl Street to Wynyard Station. This will be a two-platform station located beside the Wynyard Showgrounds, providing access to events as well as nearby residential and light industrial estates. There will be a pedestrian link to Pearl Street and Smith Street from the station, as well as direct access into the showgrounds. Now leaving Wynyard, we cross Smith Street, Corsell Street and Stowport Road, before passing under the Bass Highway and emerging on the coast again. We run smoothly until near the Round Point Lighthouse, where we go back to single track due to incredibly difficult terrain. We pass the tiny coastal village of Chasm Creek and run right next to the highway before crossing over the Bly River and stopping at Heybridge. Due to space difficulties on the coast, we will have a small platform here on the single track, with pedestrian access to Syce Avenue and a pedestrian bridge over the Bass Highway to the Heybridge town. We could consider making this a request stop due to the small size of the community served, depending on demand. Leaving Heybridge, we continue along the single track until reaching Howth. No station will be provided, but the line will go back to double track here. We enter the coastal village of Sulphur Creek, running beside Preservation Drive before reaching our station, located on Preservation Drive midway between Overall Street and Oceanside Drive. This will be two side platforms with a footbridge connecting to both sides of Preservation Drive. Bus stops on Preservation Drive will provide an interchange for this service. Leaving this station, we head along the coast, entering Preservation Bay and continuing eastward. We wind through some beautiful cuttings before crossing Preservation Drive and reaching Penguin Station. This heritage station still survives from the original passenger rail era, so one platform will remain relatively the same. We'll build a second platform on the former passing loop, which is now the second track. Pedestrian access to Main Road and the bus stops on Crescent Street will be retained. This station is currently a single platform with a station building. The second platform will feature a pedestrian link to the current at-grade pedestrian crossing on the line, as a footbridge could damage the vibe of the heritage station. This is the halfway point in our line. Just after the station, our line goes around a bend and becomes single track, passing through the Penguin town centre and the existing crossing. We then run right along the beachfront, leaving Penguin, entering the incredibly scenic section of track around Goat Island, which was so well known for its scenery it featured in many ads for the Tasman Limited, the former luxury train between Wynyard and Hobart. After several kilometres of running through this area, we emerge into suburban Ulverstone and resume double track running. We run alongside the beaches and cross Picnic Point Road before entering West Ulverstone, crossing Moore Street, Maud Street, Flora Street and Hobbs Parade before reaching our West Ulverstone station. This will be an island platform with pedestrian links to Hobbs Parade and Helen Street. This will serve the suburb of West Ulverstone and will also serve the nearby Tobruk Park and West Ulverstone shopping district. Continuing on, we cross Helen Street and immediately after head onto the Leven River Bridge. This is a massive structure and carries the train over the famous Leven River with great views. On the south side, we work our way northeast through Ulverstone, crossing over Lovett Street, Jermyn Street and James Street before stopping at our Ulverstone station. This is at the historic location at Wongi Lane, directly next to the bus interchange. The former large goods yard is now mostly taken up by shops and parking, so we'll have to be a bit more conservative with our space here. We'll have an island platform here with footbridges to Wongi Lane and Alexandria Road. The Wongi Lane bus interchange will be significantly upgraded and expanded as part of this project and be directly linked via a footbridge and concourse to this station. The light commercial areas around the station can be redeveloped into medium-density social housing to help bolster traffic on the line. Leaving Ulverstone, we head north, crossing Ryby Street, Main Street, Water Street, Alexandra Road and Buttons Avenue before leaving the urban area and entering marshland, crossing Maskell's Road and running past Camp Clayton before crossing Turners Beach Road and arriving at Turners Beach Station. The station will be two side platforms linked by a footbridge and pedestrian access to Turners Beach Road. Between the end of Beach Road and Ulverstone and Don Junction, the Northwest Coastal Pathway will be upgraded and moved to follow the railway line. There will be crossovers at Turners Beach for terminating services, but they will not be used in regular service. Our line now runs along the southern side of the built-up areas of Turners Beach and crosses the River Forth on a bridge. The adjacent pedestrian bridge will be upgraded to support more traffic on an expanded coastal pathway. We pass through Leith now, however no station will be provided as the active transport links from Turners Beach suffice for a 20 to 30 minute walk. In the future, a bus service linking the towns perhaps to Ulverstone or Devonport could be considered. We cross Allport Street and Short Street in Leith while heading in an underpass under the Bass Highway. We emerge on a very long straight with 115 km/h running through Lillico, crossing Lillico Road, passing over the Bass Highway on a bridge, and a run up the steep gradients of Don Hill. We cross the Don River on our bridge and arrive at our Don Junction station. This serves the western side of Devonport and will help get people to the very popular tourist attraction nearby, the Don River Railway. As well as serving the suburbs around North and West Devonport, this will be a crucial direct transfer point for services on the Don River Heritage Railway. A cross-platform interchange for trains headed from Devonport could be instated. The layout of Don Junction will now have one side platform and one island platform. The side platform and half of the island will be used for normal service, while the other half of the island will be used for Don River Railway services. Pedestrian links to Coles Beach Close, Coles Beach Road, North Street and the Devonport cycle and walking track will be built. The new shaded path section will end here and will bypass the long deviation the current cycle path goes on to the south through Don. After leaving Don Junction, we are in the suburbs of Devonport and will face numerous level crossings. We will cross Coles Beach Road, James Street, William Street, Gunn Street, George Street, Nicholl Street, Fenton Street, Madden Street and Victoria Parade. We now reach our Devonport station. This will be built in Roundhouse Park in the Devonport CBD. An island platform will be constructed with pedestrian bridges to the Devonport cycle and walking track, the Brook Street bus interchange and Formby Road. This will likely become the busiest station on the line, serving both connections from the intercity coaches from Launceston and Hobart, but also the busy Devonport city centre and bus interchange. Local buses and potentially ferry services will connect the station to other suburbs and towns. Crossovers will be added to allow terminating trains here during peak hours. Now leaving Devonport, we head south along the waterfront. We pass through the freight yard at Devonport, where Tasrail keeps a lot of rolling stock. A small depot here could be provided, or an arrangement with Tasrail to use their facilities. We pass under the Bass Highway and over a level crossing at Formby Road. We run beside Devonport Road through Meandetta and swing away through forests to bypass Quoiber. We then cross Stony Rise Road, turn southward, crossing Kelsey Tier Road before stopping at Sprayton. This will be a relatively small station, serving the industrial and residential areas in this suburb. This will be the last station on the main line. The station will consist of two side platforms linking to Sheffield Road. Leaving Sprayton, we cross Sheffield Road, then leave the Sprayton township, crossing Brentwood Drive. We enter the small hamlet of Tarleton, crossing Tarleton Road and Henslow Street, before finally leaving the Western Railway line. A brief bit of history first. The line from Formby, now Devonport, to Deloraine opened in the 1890s. It ran via Latrobe, because Latrobe is an important town and people wanted to go there. However, by the 1980s, passenger services had ended, and the line via Latrobe was a significant detour. In 1982, a rail bypass of the town was opened, running through forest to the south between Railton and Tarleton. This decreased freight travel times, but cut Latrobe off from the rail network. We're going to partly resurrect this. We'll build a new branch line off the main line from Tarleton to Latrobe. However, the Latrobe to Railton section will not be rebuilt. Starting just after the Henslow Street crossing, we turn northeast, cross Ballyhoo Creek, and then cross the Mersey Main Road. We cross Snag Creek and run on an embankment over the flats around the Mersey River. We cross the Mersey itself near Pig Island and run over level crossings at River Road and Twist Street. The former site of Latrobe Station is now a nice pedestrian plaza and shopping village, so we will place our Latrobe Station further north, between Twist Street and Victor Street. There is lots of room for a new bus interchange and parking here, but exact locations will be difficult to determine. Perhaps some urban renewal in the low residential areas nearby could work. The terminus station here will have two side platforms linked by a footbridge. There will be pedestrian access to Victor Street, Urquhart Lane, Gilbert Street, and Twist Street. There is a large car park next to the station for the Bowls Club, which could be resumed and turned into commuter parking. Now we've covered the whole line and route, here's some more operational details. I believe the whole line can run roughly every 30 minutes, using 2 to 3 car DMUs with a travel time of about 1 hour and 15 minutes between Wynyard and Latrobe, if track speed increases were carried out and trains were timetabled to minimise waiting in passing loops. Additionally, during peak, an additional 2 trains per hour on express runs will run through the line. These will travel from Utah's West Park to Devonport and vice versa, stopping at Burnie, Penguin and Ulverstone. Trains similar to the Endeavour or Explorer from New South Wales could work for this line, but ideally you would want locally built DMU railcars with directional seating in a 2-to-2 or 2-1 arrangement. This service will predominantly replace and expand on the existing 708 Northwest Express bus service. This brings me to the end of the first part. We will begin the second part very shortly, but firstly, a huge shout out to my channel members who make projects like this possible. Philip Bester, Cockatoo Transit, Robin Perkins, Double Denim, Sam Wansburn, Brody's Bus and Train Vlogs, Thomas, The Nom, Pizziaz, and Kamar Fitch. Now, looking at the second part, rail expansion beyond the main corridor. The corridor I've designed is almost perfect in covering almost every major town on the northwest coast. In this video, I'm not going to propose really ambitious stuff like rail to Launceston and Hobart, or insanely ambitious schemes like West Coast or Smithton to Burnie. Instead, I'll focus on some smaller local projects. Perhaps there could be enough demand for a once or twice a day rail motor service from Ridgely to Burnie, using existing track on the Melba line, with stations at Ridgely and Emu Heights. However, my main proposals will come to the east. I suggest that in the very long term, a greenfield rail extension of the corridor could come from a line from Latrobe to Port Sorell. Port Sorell is the only major town on the northwest coast not served by my current proposal, so this could make sense. In the long term, urban development over Pardo Downs, North Down and Wesley Vale could see this eastern area more populated and viable as a transport corridor. If this was to go ahead, I would personally run this as an extension from Latrobe to Shearwater. Beginning at Latrobe, we would curve north beside Kings Creek, stopping at the Mersey Community Hospital. We then head east below Shag's Tier and heading up to a station at Moriarty near the Wesley Vale Road and Frankford Road. Our next station, Wesley Vale, is located to the east of the current town near Pardo Creek. We then head east again and stop at North Down near the Port Sorell Road and North Down Lane intersection. We'll then terminate at Shearwater, located near Burgess Drive. The station would provide bus interchanges to the rest of the Ports Rail area. Obviously, this is an incredibly long-term vision, and some easier objectives for the line could be electrification or a full duplication between Burnie and Wynyard. Thirdly, some other transport upgrades in the northwest that could be done in tandem with this project. Most of these will be based around Devonport as it has the most room for improvement, however there are some general things to discuss. A full bus network restructure is needed. In areas like South Ulverstone, Latrobe, Quoiber and Ridgely, there are significant service gaps that leave a lot to be desired when it comes to bus services. With new railway stations in many towns, bus stops and routes will need to be modified. Latrobe and Wynyard stations will become new regional bus hubs, with many bus services connecting there. Burnie City Interchange will be relocated to the station to serve interchanges better, and Devonport and Ulverstone interchanges will be upgraded. In Devonport, the most crucial bits of transport infrastructure, or lack thereof, is connections to outside areas. While interchanges from intercity bus services are fairly reasonable, connecting to the airport or Spirit of Tasmania is far harder. Firstly, Devonport Airport. There is no viable way to travel there by public transport at the moment, and considering Devonport's taxi situation, there is one taxi in that town. It's a big problem when flights come in. Transport to the airport should be a priority, and special buses from the airport to city via East Devonport should be set up, timed for flight arrivals and departures, and for employees at the airport and surrounding areas. In East Devonport, the new Spirit of Tasmania terminal will open someday. So when it does happen, there should be a short deviation by some bus services through East Devonport to serve it. Which will be better than having no transport at all like the current terminal. In general, a major increase in active transport infrastructure through the region, such as completing the northwest shared path and bike lanes on major roads, will be very beneficial. At all of my proposed railway stations and major bus interchanges, secure bike sheds should be provided. The final point in this is the Spirit of Devonport. I would plan to reinstate this historic ferry service, which ran between East and West Devonport for over 100 years, and ceased 2 years ago. I propose reviving this on a frequency of every 20 minutes, with one boat shuttling back and forth all day from 7 AM to 7 PM. While it's a fairly low-key service, it's a good way for pedestrians and cyclists to get across the Mersey without needing a long drive or walk or bus ride. The service's West Devonport end could be moved from the current pier near Stewart Street to one closer to the city near Muscle Rock, with quick connections to trains, buses and the cycle path. This brings me to the end of this long video about improving transport on Tassie's northwest coast, revolving around a new regional rail system. If you have any ideas on how to improve this or want to give any suggestions, go down below and comment. If you enjoyed this video, consider subscribing, and I'll see you next time on Tasmanian.